It's 25 minutes past. Well, I'm not really a thief. I'm not going to nick it, obviously. Are you embarrassed about where you live? Luton, of course, is a town that's suffered from bad press, consistently, it would seem. Racial tension, tough economic times have given it an image problem. And architecturally, of course, it is somewhat challenged. The author, Safraz Manzoor, grew up in Luton, and he's returned for the BBC's Inside Out programme, which is being shown on BBC One this evening. He wants to find out if Luton's overcome the problems that made him leave when he was 18. Ben Hodson is an artist from Luton who features on tonight's programme. Ben, good evening to you.
Good evening there, Roberto. How are you?
All right, sir. Welcome to the programme. Ben, does Luton get a bad press, or is that bad press actually justified?
I think Luton does get a bad press some of the time. I think the vast majority of the UK doesn't think about Luton an awful lot, and if they do, it's generally the airport. But I do think a lot of media has a very negative view of Luton.
Why do you think that is?
I think there's a number of reasons. I think it's easy to have a cheap shot. I think there's been a number of real issues with the town, but generally it's a working class town in the heart of the home counties. So it just sticks out a little bit. If it was 100 miles north, maybe a little bit more into the Midlands, I don't think we'd even notice it, to be fair.
I mean, in terms of location, you're not going to get a better located town than Luton. It's got the M1 right on its doorstep, runs right through the heart of the town. You've got the A1 just further afield. You've got the airport. You've got, when they're running, you've got fantastic rail links, and and somehow the magic is missing.
Yeah, to be honest, I would disagree. I think the media impression is one thing, the reality is very different. As a town, Luton is one of the most incredible places. It's culturally diverse, there's a lot of creative industries springing up, a lot of filmmakers, a lot of designers, a lot of artists. There's a lot of incredible people in this town, and it has a lot to offer. I have my kids here. I studied here, my university degree is here. This town really has a lot to offer anybody, really. And like any large population, it has a few challenges, but essentially it's changed and it is changing. It's one of the biggest towns in the UK. It's got some of the best infrastructure, like you mentioned, world-class university, airports, all these things that so many towns and cities wish they would have. The media, kind of scrutiny of this town just doesn't really stand up.
The Lutopia project you created, explain what you did, Ben.
Well, the project was one of my first attempts. It actually started way back in 2007, but it was one of my first attempts at trying to look at how people perceive Luton and trying to get beneath that and trying to understand, well, what is this town? I wasn't born here. I was actually born in Brighton, but I moved here. And, I was often bombarded by this negativity, not just external, but also internal. And it just wasn't my experience. So the project really is large-scale photo montages, very much like David Hockney's work in the 80s, but it's kind of deconstructing the kind of everyday, very mundane scenes of a town, but trying to get beyond that and trying to see, is there beauty? What are the people like? These kind of things. And I think the project got a bit of interest because the reality is it is an incredible place. And like any town and any place, if you look beneath the surface, you'll find some incredible things, and this town is no different.
The one thing Luton's always had going for it is the people, because they're just fantastic.
Absolutely.
Ben, what could anybody do to put the sparkle into Luton? We know what it's got, we know what the problems are, we know what's good about the town, but I always get the impression it's just lacking that bit of sparkle. What does it need? What would it take?
I believe it's going to take...
Oh dear, now we'll never know. It's the mystery of Luton. Welcome back. I couldn't let it go. We're talking to Ben Hodson for the Travel and Headlines, and he's an artist from Luton who features on tonight's Inside Out programme, which looks at Luton. And I asked Ben, what would it take to put the sparkle into Luton? And we just got cut off. It was a mystery. Ben is back. Ben, what would it take?
I would say it would take all different sectors coming together. Unity, it needs a lot of that. It needs leaders with vision. It needs people to wake up and realise that the old stereotypes are gone. That the reality is this is a great town with a great offering that deserves to be on a UK and worldwide stage. It's got some of the most incredible people, some of the best food. Creative industries, like I say, is exploding. We've obviously got aerospace. All sorts of, one of the highest business startup rates in the UK and one of the lowest insolvency or rates of business. So it's a great place to be an entrepreneur, and all of these things coming together will make that sparkle come back.
Ben, thank you. I look forward to seeing you on television. Ben Hodson, the artist from Luton, who features on tonight's BBC Inside Out programme. This is BBC Three Counties Radio.